What's up YouTube, it's Nite, and today I have perhaps the most exciting 1v1 of the 2021 season, and maybe even for 2020 as well. This is a match between our SCS 2020 champion Osmos and a crazy good player that you might know as Iron Commander. Let's go ahead and jump into the game by introducing our first player. In the top of Coalition Shipyard, we have our yellow Cyber Commander with the name of Osmos, and he's plopping down a double air factory. You will find that both of these players are opening up the same because, of course, your boy Iron Commander, who is spawning as the blue Cyber Commander, is also plopping down a double air factory opening. And while these players develop a bit, I did want to make a couple of announcements because you might have noticed that this is my first cast VOD in over a month. So it's been a while, especially for 1v1s. And really there's been multiple reasons. This is actually my third time recording this video. I normally actually don't like to talk about this stuff, but I wanted to take some time, and especially in this game, because a lot of you are hopefully watching this one because it is a really, really good match. I did want to say, it's kind of started feeling like more of a job to make these and to do the whole SCS thing. And my priority is always to run events and make quality videos. So if I can't make a quality video, I'm not gonna make it. So if there was a mistake in the video that's significant enough, I won't put it out. And that's basically what was happening with this. I recorded it 3 times and there was audio issues and things like that. So hopefully this time around, it's all good. And another thing was a little bit of a motivation. My videos don't get a whole lot of attention, and part of that is because, and I've been messing around with the YouTube algorithms here and there. Basically, you can't find my videos even if you search specifically Supreme Commander 2 Tournament or Supreme Commander 2 SCS, or if you search for like SC2 Iron Commander. Even though all those tags are there, I tried to switch them out, you still can't find them. And you get videos that are not even relevant, and you first find like Subcom 1 videos instead of my videos. So by the way, Iron Commander here did scout. I think both players scouted, but Iron chose to engage with his Air Force. I think he was thinking that his double air factory build was going to get him an early advantage, but he scouted the double air from Osmos, so I'm not really sure why he engaged there. So going back to what I was saying earlier, I do want to ask you guys to, if you're not already subscribed, please do subscribe. And if you haven't liked this video, especially if you actually enjoy these videos and you keep coming back, please give them a like. So because it's the only thing that I see that is not up there that that's causing these videos to might be not viewed. So there's videos that appear for players that don't even post regularly Subcom 2 videos, but they just have more subscribers, not even by that much, but their videos still appear when you search for Subcom 2 tournaments or whatever. So so I don't know what's going on. I've tried multiple things, so please do give a like and a subscription if you enjoy my videos. I would really, really appreciate it. And if you could share my videos, like, that would be just out of this world. Just like if you're playing a game with somebody, I think that would be useful. I try to bring you guys really good videos, and I try to teach you guys, how to make better choices so that you become a better player as well. So, and I did want to thank the supporters because I have been getting a lot of new supporters, and I'm kind of sad that I haven't put out that many videos for you guys. Notably, I want to thank Rainbows and Iron Commander, who have both supported me, not just with kind words, but also with monetarily, and they've just been awesome. So thank you guys for that. And I think that's all I'm gonna say about it. There's been a couple of other really downing things that have happened over the past month, but again, I prioritize running events and making good content for you guys over just simply posting a video. So, and maybe that's the detriment of my channel, is that maybe I don't want to say too professional because that sounds very self-serving, but I do tend to think of my videos as a little bit more professional, and maybe that's a fault of my videos, but that's just the style that I go for and the style that I enjoy and most connect with, so whatever. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about this game. Honestly, there hasn't happened too much. I'm going to speed this up now. Osmos does end up getting an air control very, very quickly, and Iron just keeps re-engaging with his air very improperly, I want to say, or very ambitiously rather, but he does expand in his normal Iron Commander fashion, getting a lot of mass extractors despite not having, you know, the air lead. And that's where, again, I point out in every single one of my videos, but for some reason people just don't pay attention. You guys got to move your air. If you get an early air advantage, the reason why you're going a double air here is to win the air and then utilize it. If you're not utilizing it and you don't have land, our commander is just going to build a land factory and push you down the center or flank you, and then yeah, your air can defend that, but honestly that's not a super efficient way of using it. We do see Osmos pushing down here, building a PD here, but unfortunately it's a little too close. It's a very sudden, sharp push with a point defense. He doesn't have enough time to plop down that factory and a shield. Our commander does try to bomb here under the protection of his anti-air factory. Osmos knows this and is going to try and pick off a few stranding airplanes. Osmos doing a very good job body blocking his point defense, but unfortunately now Iron Commander is going to have a point defense underneath a shield. That's going to be very deadly to deal with, or very difficult, and unfortunately this is just not a good enough trade for Iron Commander and Osmos, really. Iron Commander losing his air force and Osmos losing quite a bit of health points, so I guess it is a good trade. I don't know what I'm saying. That misfortune sometimes just says random shit and it don't make sense. Osmos picking off an expansion here, so very nicely done right before that mass extractor finishes, but unfortunately this base is just not going to get us set up. There's a fourth point defense going on here. There's an anti-air tower under the protection of the shield. There's Cobras now making their way out on the field, and this is sort of very much stabilized for Iron Commander, and which is why I would have loved to see Osmos expanding a bit more, but it looks like actually his engineer was picked off here by Iron, so that was a very nice kind of pick off, and that shouldn't be happening for 100%. And I think that happened actually because Iron Commander saw that Osmos was moving his airplanes over here to take out this engineer over here, and he utilized that to his advantage to take off the engineer here. So very well played by Iron Commander, and just absolutely, it's the little things. Supreme Commander 2 at the high level is about the little things. Absolutely no question about it. It's the little things you do for your micro while still macroing. It's very, very important, and that is why Iron Commander is so good, is because he does the little things with the micro while he's still macroing. You see him expanding like crazy while still controlling, maybe he didn't control his air the most optimally this game, but his economy and his position was solidified because of his micro while he macros. So it was very, very strong play by Iron Commander as always. He's building over the rack of that Osmos, left him already on his third land factory, and honestly I wouldn't dislike him pushing. There's enough adapters here to kind of contest this air. Oh, he stopped his air production, so that's why he doesn't have the air support, and 5 adapters is not enough considering how much Gemini's or Osmos has. There is a land gantry coming out for Osmos, however, and that's going to be very interesting to see if he can get a megalith here in time. I think Osmos has been floating quite a bit of mass here, which is another reason why I think it's just a little bit of an efficient build. And of course that does bring me to say that Osmos hasn't really been playing too much, so if you guys are thinking, you know, oh, Osmos is making these basic mistakes, which he isn't really. He's just not playing the most optimally, and that's just because he's a little out of practice. He has some personal things going on, and as well as Hope and some of these other players, honestly. The reason why we haven't seen them too much is because they've been dealing with some things, but nevertheless, they are just amazing, incredible players. Iron Commander is going to re-expand over there on the right hand side. That first megalith is being built, another indicator that there's just been a huge stockpile of resources for Osmos that haven't been really well spent up to this point. It looks like this air is going to come in here, going to bombard A one lone adapter does go down, but that's not an efficient trade. I believe 3 or maybe even 4 planes go down there. Cobras continue to wreak havoc on that forward structures, that radar and point defense. But that first megalith is going to be released half-baked. And the nice thing about megaliths is while it's frozen from half-baking, its lasers are still going to fire on the locked-on targets. So that is quite a nice thing about the megalith, and I think Osmos definitely uses that for its exploiting. And we see kind of a no man's zone here developing here, as this megalith is going to shut down from this forces coming through, and there's enough units from Iron Commander to really prevent this megalith from pushing forward. And we do see a recycler coming out from Iron Commander. Very well done there. And we see an engineer waiting for a chance to prove himself on the right, and it looks like somewhere Osmos lost his... Oh, it was probably with the flyby earlier. I didn't realize he lost that many air units, and I think Iron Commander picked up on this because he just resumed his air production as well. There's a second land gantry on the way, and a second megalith almost completed. The first megalith, however, is being recycled, and that's very bad because obviously he was half-baked, or she. I don't want to gender assume megalith's gender. I don't know, whatever. You know, it's funny because in Russia, obviously in Russian language, you kind of you have prepositions for the gender of the word you're saying. So megalith is obviously male, so that's probably why. And a lot of words are, I feel like, and it would be very interesting. I guess it's interesting to see how, if a Russian comes over here during these times of all that stuff that's going on, to see how, yeah, maybe somebody responds. But yeah, anyway, that's a tangent. I don't know why I even mentioned that. There's a second land gantry going back here instead of forward, which I think is the correct decision ultimately by Osmos because of these recyclers. Always a possibility of a recycler creep, but really it's minimized by the megaliths. I think megaliths can handle a creep, but of course Iron can do it very, very slowly. I think he was thinking about it here, but instead he's going to solidify his position there. Osmos still is not going to move his air, but now I would agree with that because he just doesn't have enough to venture. If Iron Commander does resume his air production, that's just going to die, and that's a quick way of losing your advantage. And you don't want to kind of dedicate more resources, or any resources rather, to building anti-air at this point, because you just gotta try and push at this point, because again, Iron Commander has had this mass extractors up for a longer amount of time. But it looks like Osmos is actually going to be adventurous here, is going to try and push forward. He does actually have enough planes to really fight here, unless he's fighting over adapters. And again, we see Iron Commander just using this opportunity to really send his planes up and do a little bit of damage on that megalith. And it's the little things. I'm telling you, he doesn't kill it. He doesn't even put it to half health, maybe not even 3/4 health, but he's still moving it. This is a little bit of a mistake. I think he lost track of where Osmos's planes are. He's going to lose his planes here again. But nevertheless, it's definitely the right idea. This isn't a critical error, but definitely in a tournament game, this would have been pretty critical. Well, this is a tournament game. It's technically a league game, which is still very important, but it is a big mistake there. I mean, you've kind of been producing it for the last 2-3 minutes, and you just not even like exchanging equally, so it's definitely a big thing here. Osmos is going to transition into building a lot of research generators here as a third megalith pops out. I think he forfeits, actually fourth megalith rather, as he's going to forfeit this forward operating base here, because yeah, those recyclers are just obnoxious and it's very, very hard to deal with. And honestly, this is like, I think, the first time that I see Iron Commander going recyclers. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's not typically his style, which is very, very interesting. Iron Commander is very much punch you in the face type of player, which doesn't like to turtle too much, I want to say. But obviously, the mark of a great player is the ability to experiment with a lot of things and find success with a lot of things, because we all know of a lot of players who are very, very good at doing one thing, but not necessarily being good players, or even, you know, exploiting the meta or whatever, which obviously can be good, but I don't even know what I'm saying. But you know what, I hope you guys at least got a hint of what I was saying. By the way, there was a little engineer excursion. That engineer on the right hand side, remember, made its way all the way to the top and managed to capture 2 mass extractors and cause a control K on the 3rd. Curiously enough, Iron Commander doesn't control K the 2 that he captured. Meanwhile, this megalith, 2 megaliths get caught out of position. Iron Commander doing a really good job bringing his megalith behind structure detonate, but unfortunately there's just not enough firepower here to break through those adapters, even with the help of structure detonate. Artillery making its way out on the field. I'm trying to think about 3 different things that are happening at the same time. The reason why I find it curious that Iron Commander didn't control K these structures is because obviously the strongest thing about these core mass extractors is that they are core or vetted mass extractors. So by letting him Osmos recapture them, he's essentially keeping the veterancy, and it's not as big of a deal. It's huge when you lose the veterancy, because obviously even if you rebuild it, you're not going to be at the same mass production, which doesn't let you build as much artillery, doesn't let you build as much megaliths, and overall it's very, very bad. Iron Commander is going to again try and engage with his air. Unfortunately, he doesn't pull it back, so he's going to lose his air once again here, despite having adapters everywhere. This is really disappointing to see Iron Commander not controlling his air or units in general very, very well, but he does control it very well here with a very good sequence of unit detonation key, taking out quite a bit of Osmos's land here. And really there's just megaliths, but honestly this is not that much units remaining for Iron Commander either. He's going to try and flank on the right hand side, but there's enough air to deal with that, I think. So again, it's kind of stabilizing. Osmos is going to fire. He fired right away with the artillery before he even had 3, which 3, by the way, is of course critical mass there, and which allowed Iron Commander to start building these shields quite a bit earlier, which honestly, if he just waited like maybe 30 seconds, I think he was building them at a good rate. I think he could have done way more damage here. Now he's focusing down this forward base, which I think the idea is to take out these recyclers and push with your megas, which I think is technically right. But another mistake that I think Osmos makes here is that he clumps up not just his artillery pieces, but just all of his buildings is going in this very tiny area, in this very tiny choke point. Now granted, it's very difficult to find an open area on Coalition, but what you got to do is you have to start spreading. And when you're building with your engineers and commander, you can really do that. Iron Commander losing his air once again, despite having adapters very close by. Actually going to get some damage on the retreat here, but just not good synchronization again. I think Iron has lost his air force like 5 times this game. And so the reason why you want to spread, especially in this situation, is because your opponent has shown that he's already in the building teching phase, or turtle phase, you can even say. So he might go artillery himself, or he might go nuke himself. So, a lot of damage will be caused if artillery focuses fire here, and that's how you ultimately win an artillery war, is by spreading out your structures. So if you're going artillery, I recommend that you spread it, and it's definitely not a terribly great idea to clump up your buildings and your production to one place in any case, but even so when you're going artillery. Now, we do see a nuclear missile silo making its way out for Iron Commander, and notice this very tricky position that he's putting it into. This is very, very nice, and that is why I just encourage you guys to utilize your air. If you're not planning to utilize your air in the long term and you're using it just for defense, the very least you should be doing with your air, look at the amount of air Osmos has here. He should be taking out mass extractors right now. But at the very least, you should be scouting. Now, chances are he's not going to find this because it's pretty decently hidden, unless he spots the stream of units coming down here, which is a big tell. But, you know, he could scout and see that, you know, there isn't really a progression against this artillery other than shields. And I think any good player knows that the best kind of defense is offense. So Iron Commander has to be planning something. So you could start expecting a nuke or something to be hidden on the map. And I think that's not a stretch to assume. Osmos is doing a really good job here, though, utilizing his commander, which obviously can't be reclaimed. That would be very OP if it could, by these recyclers. So he's using it to take out some of these recyclers, and Iron Commander is trying to respond with some point defenses, which are not very well placed, by the way, against Overcharge and Nanogun. You want to spread them out. But I think each one of these players are just trying to be super, super fast, just do a lot of actions per minute. But then again, Iron Commander is just turtling here. Osmos really needs to try and take out this recycler. Yep, he does with his artillery. There's one recycler remaining. Now this recycler is going to be very difficult to get to. But honestly, this artillery, for the amount of artillery that Osmos has, it hasn't made too much impact here. That first nuke is on its way, and it is over a quarter way done. So, and yet Osmos still has not made an attempt to scout anything. And again, I mean, what is your intention here of keeping your air here? If it's to defend these megaliths, I mean, yes, maybe, but your opponent is not going to push you at this point, because if he pushes out land, your megaliths are just going to destroy that, especially with Nanogun. You haven't seen air in a very long time. I think he just took out his air once again. So really, there's no need for defense here, and you know that your opponent is going kind of more turtly, so there's no need to play this defensively. And there's mass extractors that could be sniped, and you definitely want to at least scout. I think he definitely has cameras on his long-range artillery, which is giving him some vision. So maybe he's assuming, you know, oh man, Iron Commander is going hard with this defense. But again, you have to try and think one step ahead. You know, shields are great, but Iron Commander would not want to stay in this game just because he's trying to spam shields. Honestly, at this point, I think it's a lost cause, because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th one on the way, and the 9th queued up. That's a lot of freaking artillery. So your opponent is not gonna sit back and waste time. At least I don't think they would.
Strategic launch detected.
They're gonna have something. They're gonna have a nuke, which we do have finally on its way, and I think we all know where this is going, and we all know how much damage which this will do, considering how clumped up those units or those buildings are. So that first nuke is going to connect and takes out all but one of those artillery installations, but does not have a huge economical impact on Osmos. So he should be able to rebuild, but nevertheless, that is huge and could totally been avoided if he spread the artillery out. There is a jump jet by Iron Commander with these loyalists. Nice unit detonate. I've just been noticing more and more. Jesus God. That's a lot of damage that it does. And very nicely done there by Iron Commander. Very well done. A bombing run comes in on the units. I'm not sure I like that. And I don't think I like this flanking maneuver that Osmos is trying to do. This should really be done by air. That's what it should have been done. There's no reason to really be taking them back. Nicely done taking off these freshly constructed or freshly initiated recyclers there. And yeah, absolutely, you don't need to bring these megaliths back here. What you need to do is just take your air back. And he still hasn't scouted the nuke, by the way, which I think he could totally take out at this point. But it's getting harder and harder with all these adapters and anti-air stations. Finally decides to scout over here. And wrongly targeting. Yeah, the correct target fire here is on this clump or on the nuke here, but decides to retreat once again instead of going back to bomb this mass extractor. And Osmos is going to start rebuilding. He is on his 3rd artillery piece here, 4th one being constructed, and now he's spreading it out a little bit more, but still clumping it here. And a nuke here is going to be way more devastating because he's going to take out mass along with it, and that's going to hurt. Megaliths are finally gonna take out this starting base here, and actually I think the idea here is that he eventually wants to wrap them around and take out this nuke. So let's see what Iron is going to do. It looks like Iron has been putting research points into his commander. He already has that mobile missile launcher installation on his commander, and that indicating that he's going towards overcharge. I think Osmos can expect this. There's nano gun, and look at that nano gun and overcharge just completely melting those megaliths in about 5 shots, I think, at this point. And yeah, 2 megaliths go down very quickly. Third one is on its way down. There's a bombing run on the commander. The second nuke is fired, and unfortunately Osmos is not going to get to that nuke again. He's trying to focus down the commander, but that commander is teched AF, and the second nuke is going to land, and just as I predicted, it's going straight for the center base. Going to take out again all but 1 artillery pieces and most of the starting mass for Osmos, and that is a much more devastating blow here. Osmos is gonna transport his, or jump jet his commander over here, does manage to take out the nuke, and jump jets away over here, and we are going to see something very interesting happen here in a second. Osmos is trying to rebuild his starting mass extractors, but we're actually going to see Osmos rebuild his commander, which doesn't happen all the time, because usually when you jump jet out, you're just trying to save your commander, or hide your commander rather. Obviously save your commander, but Iron Commander is gonna jump jet forward and is gonna go on the offensive here with his commander. There's 2 megaliths on the defense. I would love to see Osmos spread those, because we already saw how devastating overcharge is against megaliths. Looks like Iron Commander is capturing this mass extractor here. Oh no! Osmos tries to bomb that engineer, but unfortunately it's beyond the ledge, and Iron Commander does end up capturing that mass extractor. And a little bit more miss micro here by Osmos, loses 2 megaliths very, very quickly to overcharge, and the third one in 3 hits goes down. Osmos has rebuilt his commander, but the damage that has been done has been very, very great to his base by the nuke and the commander now. And the commander really has 3 reign over there, whereas Osmos has to go through this whole entrenched shielded base with point defenses and structure detonate and all those things. There's structure detonate here, I think. No, that was just overcharge. But nevertheless, this does look like a base trade situation, but unfortunately Osmos just does not have enough damage on his commander to really contest the central position. And it does look very, very good for Osmos, or for Iron Commander, especially because of these adapters in the back here. I'm going to speed this up because this is very fairly over at this point, even though both of them have lost the base, and technically I think Iron Commander has taken much more losses here. But again, Osmos is not going to be breaking through this position, even with overcharge. There's just too much damage, and jump jetting through anti-air is not going to help either. And Iron Commander is just going to rebuild, or he's going to keep taking things out. Looks like he's capturing stuff with his engineer as well. And jump jetting around, he's going to find this last base over here. And 3-point defenses are not going to stop an overcharged, fully upgraded ACU here. Also vetted ACU. Structure detonate might have, though. Iron Commander does lose a lot of life, though. So if Osmos comes in and overcharges his commander right now, especially with these adapters out of position, he might have a chance here. Unfortunately, it's just taking too long. I think Iron's jump jet has regenerated also, so he could jump jet out, and I think Osmos realizes that this is a hopeless cause and does control K here. So this is a 1-0 lead for Osmos in this best out of 2 league game. Let's go ahead and jump to the second game and see what happened there. Game 2 was played on Iskellian Coast with our blue 7 commander, Iron Commander, starting off with an air factory and a land factory, and his opponent being Aeon this time. It is our yellow Osmo, starting off with 1 research generator, and he's going to go into 2 land. Despite Going 1 land factory versus 2, Iron Commander is going to choose to be very aggressive here with his air and bots going around flanking and causing quite a bit of damage for Osmos to deal with. Eventually, the damage done by just a handful of units causes Osmos to go all in and send his ACU and army forward in hopes of pushing through his opponent. Unfortunately, he is met by a Cybern wall, which, coupled with a couple of very nice bombing runs, thins out Osmos's push and really shut this down the Aeon advance, even with the long-range point defenses, which ultimately causes Osmos to control K his ACU, giving Iron Commander the 2-0 lead in this series and the first place in the league table, which at the end of the season we have in our top 4 Iron Commander, followed by Polar Bear, Unknown Desire, and Foxtermelon. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you in the season final, where these players will fight for the title of the best player in the winter season. If you're still watching, give a thumbs up to this video. If you liked the video, leave a comment. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you are blown away by it, check out my Patreon page. This has been Nite. Take care and peace out.